I'm Baja racer Tony Gera. When I set my mind to do something from building my race bikes to racing the course down in Baja, I'm going to do it right. And for me, that means doing it by myself. It's not easy racing in Baja alone, but I have my family and I'm willing to work hard, and if everything works out, I'm confident I'll be out front on race day. Come along with the cameras at PINit TV as I prepare for the 2016 SCORE World Desert Championship.
"127 Degrees with Tony Gera" is brought to you by She'sExhausted.com. Accelerate your life with style. Killer photography, motorcycles, and classic music at She'sExhausted.com. On the last episode, Tony breaks down the 1997 KX500 to the frame, and now it's ready to be transformed into a race bike.
This is the 650?
Yep, that was 2013, 2014 best in the bike. A hole in the case.
Oh my god, no.
So this was the last 20 miles of Vegas Torino. This happened. I lost the master link, went through the case, gearbox is junk, had first gear, no clutch, and a big hole in the case to where when I started the bike back up, it sprayed oil out of the case. Well, earlier in the day, I took a foot peg to the arm. The bike came over the top of me and ripped a big hole out in my arm.
Yeah.
Got to the pit, they put an ace bandage, and
Damn.
they put a gauze all over my arm. And once that, I got a hole in the case, I'm going, well, what can I plug it with? I'm getting ready to rip part of my jersey. And well, the jerseys suck at soaking anything up or anything, so I'm trying to stop them from leaking. Like, you know what, I got gauze, and I unwrapped my arm, and I took a screwdriver and stuffed it in the hole, fired it up. It was like below the bottom. I mean, I couldn't get anything on the dipstick. I was so out of oil, but I didn't have any oil on me. So I was like, you know what? First gear, just cruising. Still ended up 6th overall.
That's great.
Broke the fuel line off. So
God.
Only 16 days remain until Tony has to be in Baja. The engine work has begun, and now he's going through the frame to ensure any small cracks where bolts and joints exist in the frame are reinforced and ready for the abuse the bike will take on the course in San Felipe. There hasn't been a big bore two-stroke in a Baja race in 9 years, according to a recent study. This is an unusual moment in desert racing history, as the sport has changed a lot over the years, and it certainly isn't too welcoming for unusual tactics in such a brutal course. The course around San Felipe is notoriously the toughest, rockiest, nastiest section of the entire Baja course, something that Tony prides himself in. Mastering the technical rocky sections, it can be brutal on the bikes, especially the frame, subframe, and suspension.
So I started welding a couple years back when we started building our first pre-runner truck to go down to Mexico, and my dad was teaching me everything we know, or everything I know, and started to really like welding, so thought I'd start it as a job. And I went over and looked for a few jobs welding and found out that it was quite a bit harder to find than I thought. Being a younger person trying to get into welding, most of them wanted years of experience, and that's something I didn't have. So I ended up going over and finally found a job, and all it was doing was just welding a bunch of garbage together. It was never anything like what we did in the backyard, and that's when I realized that you have to be picky about where you work when you want to weld. I work for a company that we service and repair semi-trucks, and actually this is the only job that I've ever had that has really let me be the main welder in, and it's taught me a lot and let me go a lot farther with the welding, and that's what makes some of the racing stuff easier for us. Knowing what you can do on the side of the trail and makes it a lot easier. So we typically see a lot of cracks right around the subframe or around the head tube area on some of the bikes. It also really depends on how you have your suspension set up, where a majority of the cracks go. If you run stiffer suspension, you're probably going to have cracks around where the shock is or around where most of the weight is on the front end. Your suspension's softer, you might let your bike and your frame take a little more movement, and you might have cracks down the backbone. If you had to outsource all the welding and find somebody to even have the time to do it, it would be really hard to, well, it'd be really hard to find anybody to even want to do it. But I know a couple shops that charge around $180 to $200 an hour to weld. So I'd say to outsource, it would probably be around a couple $1,000s to weld a frame. So we just got all done welding the frame, and everything went pretty smoothly. It's all welded really easy. There was no major cracks that we had to do. We're gonna get it powder coated tomorrow morning, and hopefully have it back tomorrow afternoon and starting to put some of the suspension back on. The motor's not done yet. As you can see, I've done all the building so far between tearing the bike down and welding the frame. And the only thing that's not being done here is powder coating. And I believe that I'm the only rider on the bike, so I think that I should be one of the only mechanics on the bike. Nothing else gets touched by anybody, just because that's the way I feel comfortable. A lot of people like to have other people work on their bike. There definitely is a time where that's nice because it's easier, you have more time to do other things and plan other places, but we build our own box vans, we build our own race bikes because that's the budget we have and that's all that we can do. With that in mind, it's been a pleasure bringing you guys behind the scenes. I really like showing you guys the stuff that you guys don't see. You guys see us down the starting line and you see us after the race, but you don't see everything that goes into racing, especially with a privateer. So I really like having everybody here and showing everybody. So tune in next time when we're getting the bike all put back together, and then keep watching for newer episodes when we're in Mexico. I got friends that aren't religious at all, but they will 100% when they get into Mexico. There's Baja gods.
Yeah.
They watch out for you. They're frickin', if you're not willing to give it all, they're just get you out of here.
Yeah.
It's Baja's way.
True.
Yeah, and you start looking around. You look at like everybody that's there and living there. It's like either they're really hard workers or they don't make it.
Yeah.
Wow, this place is brutal.
On the next episode with Tony Gera, we're 2 weeks away. All the parts are here, the engine and frame are done, and it's time to put this mean green racing machine together. 127 Degrees with Tony Gera is brought to you by She'sExhausted.com. Accelerate your life with style. Killer photography, motorcycles, and classic music at She'sExhausted.com. And special thanks to Motion Pro. Motion Pro designs and manufactures high-quality cables, tools, and controls for motorcycles, ATVs, snowmobiles, and personal watercraft. Motion Pro is proud to be the gold standard in racing today, supporting many riders such as Tony Gera. Please subscribe and share to our YouTube channel with your friends, as each episode will be following Tony Gera throughout the desert racing season, and you don't want to miss this incredible story. Thanks for watching.